evening, candidates, participants, audience in Richmond and beyond. Welcome to our City of Richmond Council Candidates Forum. I'm Robert Rogers from County Supervisor John Joya's office, and I'll be happy to serve as your moderator and assistant tonight. We're going to have a great program this evening with introductory statements, background information, numerous questions, and closing statements. This great forum is brought to you via Zoom and KCRT by the Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council and West County League of Women Voters. This forum is broadcast live on KCRT Channel 28, and it will also be reviewable on KCRT YouTube and many other channels. Tonight's procedures are going to be simple, and they're going to offer us a great chance to hear from all of the candidates. We will have 2-minute introductory statements from each candidate, 1 minute for each candidate to answer the various questions prepared by the League and the Coordinating Council. And also we will be taking questions from the audience. That'll be an exciting feature. Then there will be 1 minute for a wrap-up summary or a closing statement by each candidate. The clock will be indicated by me, your moderator. I will hold up this paper with 10 seconds at the 10-second mark, and I will also give a verbal cue, 10 seconds, for those who may be visually impaired. We'll give you that extra 10 seconds, but we will mute if we go beyond the 1 minute or the 2 minute time. So please be respectful of the 10-second cue. Each candidate will be fielding between 8 and 10 questions prepared by the RNCC and the League of Women Voters. And over the last 20 minutes, we'll have the Zoom attendees asking the questions. Candidates, if you haven't already, I think most of you have, please be sure that your name appears in your video box. At this time, let's move right into the introductory statements for each candidate. When I call on your name, please activate your video, and you'll have, remember, 2 minutes for each introductory statement. We'll go in numerical order for the districts. We have candidates from District 1, District 5, and District 6. In District 1, we will start with Melvin Willis. Melvin, please begin.
Hello, good evening, everyone, and thank you for hosting this Candidates Forum this evening. My name is Melvin Willis. I grew up here in Richmond, and I've been a community organizer for 9 years with the Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, and I've also served as a term as your city council member. Part of what I do is reaching out to community members to identify what folks' issues and concerns are and how do we work together in a collaborative effort to fight for improvements. That has led me to work on the passage of rent control and just cause for eviction, along with overseeing its implementation, taking the lead and effort on increasing the minimum wage to $15 an hour in Richmond, and also taking stances and measures to increase our sanctuary city ordinance. On top of that, I focus on county-wide issues like passing Contra Costa Cares, which allows undocumented adults to have access to health care regardless of immigration status as long as you're a resident. And now we have a time we need and challenges ahead from recovering from coronavirus and the debt that has accumulated. So my focus is going to be on homelessness, affordable housing, youth outreach, and also the conversation around reimagining public safety and how do we recover from corona debt while working together with residents who have been impacted by that is going to be my focus, and making sure city resources are there to support residents. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Candidate Willis and Councilmember Willis. Next, let's have an opening statement from Candidate Eleanor Thompson, District 1.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here on tonight. I'm Eleanor Thompson. I am a mother, a grandmother, and a community leader, and also a business owner. I moved to Richmond over 50 years ago, and I've lived in Iron Triangle for over 30 years. I raised 5 children in Iron Triangle, along with my husband, Dandie Thompson, who passed away. Excuse me. I received my bachelor degree in social science from Chapman University and my associate's degree in sociology from Contra Costa College, along with a certificate in criminal justice. I'm sorry. I started Social Progress, Inc. in 1993 for youth in the community during the time when we had all the drive-by shootings and they had a safe place to go. And that was Duplex, which I had over in the Iron Triangle. And we used that to bring the youth in out of the street. I also organized our Crime Watch program in our neighborhood. Social Progress, Inc. is yet going strong 27 years later. I am yet working with our youth and yet keeping them out of the streets and being in a safe place. I also served as the Iron Triangle Neighborhood Council. I served as the Iron Triangle Neighborhood Council. As a result of my leadership there, as I was the president, I have also served on the Police Commission, the Anti-Drug Task Force, Contra Costa County Democratic Central Committee. Currently, I serve on, my time up?
10 seconds, please.
Currently, I serve on the Park and Recreation Committee, and also I'm a member of the Ephesians Church in the city of Richmond.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson.
Thank you.
Next, let's move over to District 5, and let's begin with candidate Ahmad Anderson.
Good evening, folks, and thank you. My name is Ahmad Anderson, and I'm the native son of the city of Richmond, born and raised here by Irma L. Anderson, former city councilman and mayor of the city of Richmond, and Booker T. Anderson Jr., also former city councilman and mayor. I'm running to provide a fresh voice, new ideas, results-oriented leadership in serving the needs of our diverse District 5 neighborhoods and city. This is a critical election for the city of Richmond. It is no secret that our city is suffering financially, and at the same time, the coronavirus is threatening our health, livelihoods, and business. Our residents need the essential life-saving services the city provides more than ever. As the District 5 council member, I'll advocate for the priorities including 1, healthy, clean, and safe neighborhoods, 2, job creation and economic revitalization, and 3, addressing homelessness and with compassion, but moving from a managed program to a solution. But there are also 2 major priorities that we need to address. It's COVID-19, the physical health and the welfare of our Richmond citizens. 2, the financial welfare of the Richmond business community. Priority 1 is critical to design and implement a comprehensive COVID-19 health and welfare plan for West County. That plan would include a task force that would include our elected officials in West County, also our federal officials, our state officials, West Contra Costa Unified School District, Contra Costa College, as well as the Contra Costa College, the lifelong medical health administrators. The plan must include daily and weekly communications, status updates, increasing testing locations that could be used for our many of our rec centers that are not fully used at this time, and social services, providing free lunch and personal protective equipment. This has worked in San Francisco and Oakland, and we must also focus on our African American and Latinx community as well, because that continues to rise. The second priority is to stave off business closures and make sure they stay afloat, with programs that provide an economic relief fund spearheaded by the Richmond Chamber of Commerce, Council of the Industry, developing grants so that we can accommodate unclear directives, delayed government assistance has paralyzed our physically and economically. We all must take a stride.
Thank you. Your time is up. Your time is up. Thank you. Our next candidate is Gayle McLaughlin, District 5. Your opening statement, please.
Okay, thank you to the organizers for holding this forum. I'm Gayle McLaughlin, running for City Council, District 5. I served 12 years on the City Council from 2005 to 2017, 8 of those years as mayor. During that time, working with all segments of the community, we were able to make great progress by increasing the minimum wage, reducing homicides, passing rent control, forcing Chevron to pay more taxes, opposing the expansion of local jails, supporting our immigrant community, defending our schools, and implementing strong social, economic, environmental, and climate justice policies. We still have much to do as COVID-19 threatens our health and demonstrates the core inequities of our society. I am running to continue to build a healthy, safe, just, and sustainable Richmond. I will work to stop evictions and foreclosures on renters and homeowners, end Chevron's pollution, build affordable housing, develop a Richmond Green New Deal, and promote democratic participation in all decisions. I bring to this job my experience, my integrity, and my commitment to bringing us all together. We are all needed in the work ahead. When we build solidarity, mutually supporting systems, justice, and kindness around us, we can live healthier lives with social well-being. Life can be joyful, not perfect, but much better and certainly healthier. Having been mayor, I have the know-how to hit the ground running and begin putting in place policies that will set us all on a course for improving our lives and our city. If elected, I will throw myself 100% into the work ahead for an equitable and healthy Richmond, where each and every resident can experience the best that life has to offer. I believe with all my heart that this is possible, and I look forward to carving out the road ahead with each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. McLaughlin. And now also from District 5, Mike Vasilas.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Vasilas. I'm a city council candidate in District 5. I'm an East Bay native and a Richmond small business owner as well. I graduated from UC Davis with a degree in economics and then went into my father's trade as a home builder. As a child, I worked by my father's side, learning the trade while I built entry-level housing all over Richmond. I was proud watching him work with his hands to build something valuable for families in this community. Fast forward to today, I'm in the same city as my father was and in the same profession. I'm running for city council because I'm passionate about Richmond, and I believe we need governance that strives to best represent everybody. COVID-19 has presented us with the biggest health and economic challenges of our lifetimes. While there's a lot we can't control during this crisis, what we can control is our city leadership's response to it. We need a city council that's committed to supporting and stabilizing both our residents and businesses during this time. There are a lot of difficult and imminent decisions facing our city council. I have the ability to bring wide-ranging perspectives together to develop effective and balanced solutions that work for everyone going forward. Our issues and priorities are all interconnected, from housing to homelessness to job opportunity and everything in between. I have a big picture vision, and I want to provide lasting solutions to these issues. I'm completely independent, and I'm running to bring balance to our policymaking and legislative processes that will serve the best interests of Richmond residents and businesses now and in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vasilas. And now from District 5 also, Najiri Smith.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Najiri Smith. I'm running for Richmond City Council District 5. I've been a longtime member of the Richmond Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. I've been a Richmond Arts and Culture Commissioner, elected chair of the Richmond Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. I started a nonprofit right here in Richmond. That's created a connected and cohesive city. On top of the nonprofit, I've also co-founded a business. I'm a business owner here in Richmond, as well as a resident. Our bicycle and skate shop has been going strong for the past 6 years. I've been a speaker at many city council meetings, uplifting the concerns of the members I serve, the communities I serve, the families I serve. And what I've learned is that while it's crucially important to speak truth to power, when power doesn't prioritize the issues that you're bringing to the table, at some point, you have to take those seats. And I'm running to become one of the decision makers who can move resources and direct change. My decade of advocacy includes working locally, nationally, and regionally with groups like the Climate Justice Alliance, the Safe Return Project, Richmond Revolution, the Asian Pacific Environmental Network, GRIP, Urban Tilth, RISE. I've been consistently working for community for the past 10 years, week after week, day after day. And it's time to take change to the city council level. And that's why I'm running for Richmond City Council, District 5.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. And now let's move on to District 6. And let's begin with Claudia Jimenez.
Thank you for this opportunity to tell you about myself, what I bring to this race, and why I am running for City Council. I am a mom who wants my children and all children in Richmond to grow up in a community that values them and meets their needs. I am an immigrant who had to start again when I moved to the US. I worked in low-paid jobs, studied English, and was eventually able to get a master's degree at UC Berkeley. So I live the challenges that many in our community face. I am a problem solver who is devoted to improving District 6 and Richmond. In 2010, I helped organize a group of Richmond parents to transform the decrepit Solano Play Lot into the beloved neighborhood park where our children play today. In these years, I was a core member of the group that successfully fought to keep Richmond main library open. I am a community organizer who has made Richmond more fair and inclusive, leading campaigns like Invest in People, No Prison, the Rain Control Initiative that is protecting 7,800 Richmond families, and efforts to protect our undocumented neighbors and in law enforcement cooperation with ICE. I am running for City Council because District 6 and Richmond needs a strong voice to preserve and maintain everything we cherish about our community. Richmond threatens to become a place we don't recognize. Working people like us are being displaced, services are being cut, and the needs of multinational business and large landlords are being put ahead of ours. Meanwhile, the COVID-19 pandemic has hit the Richmond community hard, intensifying the many inequalities we are already facing. I am running so that our needs and interests will have a place on the City Council because I believe in a Richmond for all. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, also from District 6, Miss Dandie.
Start video. Am I there?
Yes, please proceed.
Good evening, North and East and Women League of Voters. First, I would like to thank you and let everybody know that I wrote it down so I can get everything out. And thank everyone for putting this together. My name is LaTanya J. Dandie, better known as Miss Dandie. This week has been very hard and tough I was degraded for stating that I'm a strong Black woman, and that's all I stand for and not politics. Well, I am a strong Black woman, a mother of 4 and a grandmother. And I'm from the east side of Detroit and a 10-year resident of Northeast. And what I bring to Richmond and will focus on is homelessness and education and job security, and how to develop a community lacking of integrity and confidence while reverting back to homicides and violence and dealing with COVID-19. While I have worked for the school district for 7 years, homeless task force and many other jobs have paid less than minimum wage to keep a roof over me and my children's head so we can stay here in Richmond. How I would build a relationship with the smallest of the small businesses and communities and largest ones, and figuring out ways to build relationships to bring businesses in Richmond with legal incentives, circling every potholes in our city for our city to fill up so we can stop tearing up our vehicles. Having a real sit-down conversation with city employees on a methodology on fixing our budget to a decent amount that has allowed our city to go into this devastation that the pandemic did not cause. Researching solutions that will help produce a real affordable housing so longtime Richmond residents will be able to plan and stay here in the future. Richmond Richmond needs to collaborate resources and maintain services and make sure that Chevron actually puts money back into Richmond. And if you think being a strong Black woman is the
Thank
worst
you.
thing that it can have.
Thank you, Ms. Dandie.
Thank you.
And now, for our last candidate doing an opening statement, District 6, Vinay Pimple.
So hi, everybody. Thanks for having me in your homes. First, why am I a candidate here? So, as a blind person, I received a lot of help from my family, from friends, from volunteers. So volunteering is really important for me. I volunteered as a writer coach for 6 years, helping students in Richmond High with their writing assignments. I was a mentor for at-risk youth at RPAL. I was a math tutor with our Literacy for Every Adult programs, which helped folks who have fallen through the cracks get their GED and get back on their feet. And for me, serving on the city council is an extension of volunteering. I'm also running because I have solid experience and record of dealing with many of the serious challenges we are facing now. On city council, I helped pass a balanced police accountability ordinance. I helped navigate the city through its financial crisis brought about by the downgrade to junk bond status. I helped relieve the housing situation by approving hundreds of units of affordable housing and market rate housing and supporting sensible staff-recommended rent relief programs. I also am a real believer that the solutions are going to come from you, not from special interest groups from outside who give us copy and paste solutions. So I'm really going to encourage you to join our boards and commissions, as well as to volunteer for all the great programs that we have in our city, because I think together, the problems that we have in our city can definitely be solved. So I hope you'll join me. I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pimple, and all candidates for your opening statements. At this time, we'd like to transition into our first round of questions. The way this will work is it will take approximately 40 minutes, and we will call upon one of our leaders within our League of Women Voters or Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council, an alternating group of leaders who will ask a specific question, and then all candidates will answer. We will switch up the order in which candidates are able to answer, but all candidates will get an opportunity to address all questions. So with that, I'd like to move into the first question. And to do that, I'd like to pass the baton to Cheryl Collier, League of Women Voters President. Cheryl, please proceed with the question.
Good evening. The question is, what makes you different from other candidates and the best choice to be elected?
Thank you, President Collier. And let's begin this round by starting with District 6. And let's start with Claudia Jimenez.
Thank you. So I think one of the things is that my proven experience and the work that had improved the life of many Richmond residents. I had been working side by side with the undocumented community to help them to get ahead and have representation in the city. I developed with them a policy for immigrant rights with the police department. I also had been working with those coming home from incarceration. And I am not only a volunteer with many organizations, but I create these spaces for these community members to be at the center and to be the voice. I am the free corporate, free fossil fuel, free candidate from police union. I pledge not to take any of that money. And I am committed to continue working with all of you. So as I said, and the only Latina women here running in the District 6 and in the whole city of Richmond. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jimenez. And now, before I go to the next person to address this question, I'll remind our panelists, the question period is 1 minute answers. So please be concise. And we will go now to Ms. Dandie.
Unmute. What makes me different is, like we all can say, we all have our differences. We have Vinay, he's blind. We have Claudia, she's Hispanic, and I'm Black. We all have our different differences that makes us different. But what makes me different is I work with the entire community. I work with disability. I work with homeless. I work with mental health. I work with people that look like you and me. I work with people who have no money. I work with people who are looking for homes. I work with people who have homes. I work with the elderly. I work with the vets. I work with everyone, and I want everyone to feel comfortable in Richmond. I don't want it to be a place where you have to go only to a group and answer to what they want. I want it to be an entire Richmond, just not one. It makes a difference because I'm standing up for everyone in Richmond. I'm that person in District 6 that you want out here working with us every single day, all day long, not just for one interest.
Thank you, Ms. Dandie. And next, Mr. Pimplay.
So yeah, I'm the only candidate who has the experience and the record of dealing with really serious challenges, like the financial crisis that the city had, like crafting a really balanced police accountability ordinance, like understanding the issues of housing and knowing how to go about addressing them, what kind of mix of affordable and market housing we need. And as an attorney, I can understand the complexities of the law. I can make sure that we pass good legal settlements because we have made a lot of bad legal choices. And I can analyze the unintended consequences of laws. As a numbers guy, I can analyze which program is effective.
Thank you, Mr. Pimplay. Next, let's move to District 5. And let's begin with Ahmad Anderson. And a refresher, the question is, what makes you different from the other candidates and the best choice to elect? Mr. Anderson.
Sir. I'm a small business owner with 22 years of human resources experience, in addition to global and local experience delivering successful outcomes in mission-critical scenarios, such as COVID-19 and the financial pandemic we're experiencing today. I don't know what is a critical scenario. I specialize in strategic planning, employee negotiations, executing multi-stage projects requiring navigation through commercial and/or compliance mazes, unique background and cross-functional skills in employment law, business, and government provides me the vision, versatility to both shape the strategic imperative and drive the hands-on results. I will host partner quarterly business community forums to discuss dialogue around financial health of the city, new economic and community development projects, and a forum to voice concerns, challenges, and opportunities.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Next, let's hear from candidate Gayle McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you. I'm different because I have the experience of serving. I'm the only candidate for District 5 that has any elected office experience, and I've served 12 years in office in Richmond, 8 of those years as mayor. I took no corporate money, no police money, no developer money for all 4 of my previous campaigns, and I'm taking none of that money now. My office has always been open to residents and will continue to be so. I address root cause solutions to our problems. That's how we got 75% reduction in homicides. We created, and it was my initiative, the Office of Neighborhood Safety that addressed violence before it starts, referring people to services they need. I stood up to Chevron. That's how we got over $100 million in additional taxes from Chevron, and that's how we limited their pollution. Much more work to do with the community, all segments of the community. We will get it done.
Thank you, Ms. McLaughlin. Now, Mike Vasilas.
Hi there. I believe I stand out for my opponents because I've been here, living here, working for this community as a volunteer and standing up for this community for the past 3 or 4 years. While others may say they're not powered by corporate interests, there's all sorts of interests that can power your campaign. And the only thing that powers my campaign is the strength of this community, my desire to serve this community and its diverse residents. I have life experience. I have experience working with stakeholders throughout this community. I've experienced working with city staff and have made relationships throughout all these applicable areas. And like I said, I believe in this city and I want to do my best and volunteer and sacrifice for this city that I love. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Najiri Smith, same question, please.
And that makes me different is that I'm constantly in community. Like even today, I just came from a bike shop where I work that's right here in Richmond. That hires all Richmond people. 100% of the workers in my bike shop live here in Richmond. 2 from District 5. I've started, I didn't just like get a job with a nonprofit. I started a nonprofit organization that also hires Richmond residents to take care of their community. We lead park cleanups and we led them, and in this work, we discovered that most of the dumping that happens in Richmond doesn't even come from Richmond. So now we're looking for solutions to keep other folks from other cities from using our city as a dumping ground. Through our work, we're advocating for the city to hire a prosecutor for code enforcement so that you can't just dump here without any type of repercussions. That and much more. I don't just think of the solutions, I actively engage in the solution, in implementing the solutions.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. And now let's move to District 1. A refresher on the question. It came from League of Women Voters President Cheryl Collier. And the question is, what makes you different from the other candidates and the best choice to elect? Melvin Willis, District 1, please.
For me, I relate a lot with community members because I grew up with a low income experience, and I grew up in the single family household experience from my father passed away before I was born, and the challenges that encapsulated that, like being a youth forced to grow up too soon because your mom had to work 2 jobs just to be able to pay the rent. And I take that experience as a community organizer, and I'm able to connect what their issues, what their problems they're dealing with the community every day, and work with them to build a vision on how we can get change. That's how I was able to support seniors at Heritage Park that was looking at a 12% rent increase. And we got together and got a reduced rent increase that allowed a lot of them to stay there. And that's how I was able to work with folks in Pullman Point when they were dealing with the predator security guard, connecting them the services and empowering their voices and creating new leaders, not just serving them, but making them leaders as well.
Thank you. And now, also from District 1, same question, Miss Eleanor Thompson, please.
Okay, Eleanor Thompson again here. I feel that I would be the best candidate for District 1 because I have worked in District 1 for over 30 years. I've did life skill classes there. I founded Social Progress Inc., a youth program. I've worked with the youth throughout Dine Triangle, District 1, and throughout Richmond. I feel that I would be the best candidate because I have been in the community. I know the community. I have programs that I do in the community. We do cleanup programs. We employ the youth in the District 1 to come out and work on our programs. I believe that I could make sure we get the things that we need, the resources. I have been president of the Untitled Neighborhood Council, and I know the community. For over 30 years, I know the community well. In my priorities.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. And now we'll move on to our next question. This question will be provided by Naomi Williams, Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council Vice President and also a League of Women Voters member. Ms. Williams, please propose the question.
My name is Naomi Williams, as he said. As you know, Richmond is in a crisis, a budget crisis. So how would you address the budget crisis that we have in Richmond?
Thank you, Ms. Williams. And I'll remind our candidates that your answers should be limited to 1 minute. I know it's a tremendous challenge to tackle these big topics in such a short time, but it's much appreciated and it shows great skill on your behalf. Let's begin in the middle this time with District 5, Ahmad Anderson.
One of the things as a human resources professional that I've learned is when we talked about budgets is understanding not only the head count, but the quality and products in which we provide for the services of our community or in the workforce that we have. Knowing that it's important to meet with the directors about what their budget is, not at the last moment as we're making a vote, but visiting with them and have the conversation with the city manager. That's what I would do first. Visit with the city manager, talk about the budgets from year to date, speak to the directors, the chief of police, chief of the fire department, and all the other heads of the units to be able to discuss what would it look like if we removed X? What would it look like if we involved Y? And then Z, share with me the quality of service that you'll be able to provide, not only in District 5, but throughout the entire city. It can't be done on a one-time basis. It must be done quarterly, which invites the business community as well and the community to talk about forums as the health of the city begins to progress and what it's going to take for us to meet those guidelines and goals.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Same question, Gayle McLaughlin, please.
Yes, thank you. Bringing in more revenue is the way to address budget shortfalls without cutting city staff or city services. I support Measure U, which is a fair business tax and will bring in $9.5 million annually to our city. It will also allow small businesses to grow and hire more of our residents. I also support Prop 15, the Schools and Community First ballot measure, which will also bring in millions each year to Richmond to fund youth programs and other services. I also support bringing in new healthy businesses like grocery stores and small shops that can serve our community with jobs, products, services, and additional city taxes. We should do a marketing campaign to bring in such businesses. And we need to continue to work with our bargaining units who have helped us come up with new ideas for revenue generation. Thanks.
Thank you, candidate McLaughlin. And now, Mike Vasilas.
Hi. I think our city's been in a financial crisis for a while now, probably dating back to 2004, and we've been on the brink of bankruptcy ever since. One of my suggestions would be to conduct a full organizational audit and follow those recommendations. I'd ensure that we pass structurally balanced budgets, and I would increase revenue by attracting and retaining responsible development in businesses. I think that we need to grow back our reserves to the recommended 15% of total expenditures, and that's going to be really important because we need to develop a strong financial position ahead of the upcoming mandatory bond issue, or we'll get with more exorbitant interest rates and costing taxpayers millions of dollars. I think we have to ensure that we take care of our business community during COVID And I think that Measure U is not the way to do that. I think that's going to cause a lot of problems for our business community, which will have big issues for our income and our revenue. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Vasilas. And now, same question, Najiri Smith.
Well, I agree with Prop 15, $12 billion for schools and communities is a great idea. And I'm also in favor of Measure U. But even with these things, I feel like there's other things that we could be doing to build our local economy. You can't have a strong community without a strong local economy. So what I like to look at the things that are missing in Richmond. You know, I started the only bike shop in Richmond. What other things do we need? Where is Richmond's bowling alley? You know, we've got Shoreline, 32 miles of it, parks, over 50 of them. We're rich in history. Richmond saved the world. What can we do to bring visitors and tourism here to our city so that currency can flow through our communities? And that's what I would focus on as a Richmond City Council member. How can we bring dollars to our city?
Thank you, candidate Smith. Before I move on to the next candidate to ask the question, I think it might be a good time to have a refresher on the question. Vice President Williams, would you like to ask it once more?
You know, Richmond has a budget crisis. So what will you do to address the budget crisis?
Thank you so much, Vice President Williams. And for this, let's move to District 1 again. And let's start with Eleanor Thompson.
Okay, all right, I'm ready, sorry. Okay, yes, the city is in a budget crisis, and to increase the revenue, the only way we can do that is through economic development, and that would be Measure U, I would not vote for because we don't know how those funds would be used even if we got it approved. But my thing is economic development would be like real estate taxes, retail and sales tax. And then we would have to find money to pay down the unfunded liabilities that we have. And I think we have 2 projects. I know one has already been approved, and that's Point Melody. And then we have Zeneca. So those type of things to bring in new revenue into the city because if we spend our revenue, we won't have enough to. Okay, come down.
Thank you, candidate Thompson. And next, Melvin Willis, please.
Yeah, the city definitely is in a budgetary crisis. For the past 2 years, I took efforts to not only participate in budget committees that included our city manager, the mayor, and another council member, along with department heads and unions, but we all worked together to come up with strategies to close the budget deficit to ensure that we could avoid layoffs and impacts to services. And I think that careful collaboration and making sure that everybody's on the same page moving forward in the future is what's going to continue to make sure that we can retain as much services and bring in as much revenue as possible. That's why I'm actually in support of Measure U. I think it's about time that we went to a gross receipts model, not a payroll model. This will not only bring in new revenue from its structure, but at the same time, it will reduce annual fees for small businesses significantly, and you will no longer have to pay per employee. And yes, on Prop 10,
Thank you.
To close a corporate loophole.
Thank you, Mr. Willis. And next, let's move to District 6. And let's begin with Vinay Pimple.
So I do support Prop 15, but the key thing that we really need to do is promote economic development. Key to that is really streamlining our permitting process to figure out how we can be a more attractive place for businesses. Housing is also key. if we built all the units that the Hilltop Mall area is entitled for, that would bring in more than $20 million in property taxes alone. And in addition to that, there would be millions more in sales taxes. As Mike pointed out, a full organizational audit is really key because that will ensure that if we have to make staff cuts, that will come with minimum amount of service cuts. Also, the healthy reserves and structural budgets are critical for the mandatory bond issue.
Thank you. Thank you, Candidate Pimplay. Candidate Miss Dandie, same question.
Richmond is in a budget crisis, but by bringing in more businesses in Prop 15, that will bring in businesses such as skating rinks, a grocery store that we can go to our own grocery store in Richmond, close to our home. So we won't have to cross the street to go to Pinole. So we won't have to go to cross the street to go to El Cerrito, and give them the money that's deserved in Richmond. We need to set a monthly standard audit for the next year to make sure that that money is looked at monthly to see where we're going, just like you would do a piggy bank for your child, to make sure that the money that they're putting in is going where it's supposed to be. We need to have places and activities for kids and families to spend here so money can be built here, revenues can be built here. Like everyone's saying, we need to make it more attractive where Richmond is going to be the place where people want to come. If it looks good, it becomes good. Thank you, sir. And we can make it look good by bringing in things that people want to see, do, and use. That's how you build revenue in a city.
Thank you, Ms. Dandie. And the last candidate for this question will be Claudia Jimenez. Please proceed.
Okay, we need to create a process that is easy for the community to understand. Adopt a smart and equitable city budget that preserves city services and our values. And what I mean by that is that we value our children and youth. The budget should reflect that. Last year's budget, only 3% of the general fund was allocated to libraries. Support the passage of Pro 15, as well as the passage of Measure U, which will stabilize city funding by charging less to the small businesses and more to those that have the highest revenue. Make sure that our city apply for state grants to support community projects and innovative community services. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jimenez. And now, before we go into our next question, I'd like to give a quick word to the audience. I see here that we have a tremendous audience out there. That's great to see. Please continue to watch, see your candidates, get to know your candidates. Please send in your questions via Q&A so we can get to those and have an even more lively discussion. And also, please forward this link to your friends, your neighbors, your family. Let's get everyone involved and let's all be educated, because politics and power and our lives all begin locally. So let's do what we can to make our democracy stronger here in Richmond. And with that, let's go into our next question. And this question will be provided by Madeline Cronenberg, our League of Women Voters Vice President. Vice President Cronenberg, please proceed.
Thank you very much. This question is, how will you address the issue of gentrification?
Thank you for that question. And let's begin back at the beginning with District 1. And I'll remind the candidates that unfortunately, as time permits, we have to tackle these extremely complex questions in 1 minute. Candidate Willis, please proceed.
So far, I worked on the passage of rent control and just cause for eviction, because back in 2015, I personally door knocked and talked to tenants. I got anywhere between $100 increase to double their original rent within a month, and heard that it was because market would provide, even though people's incomes weren't reaching that level. A couple years later, I went to further efforts to look at a proposition last year. A legislation that went across the board last year to put a rent stabilization cap, which is consumer price index plus 5% across the state of California. That also included some single family homes, which led to 7 more million people in California having tenant protection, such as just cause for eviction. I'm going to continue to work on policies like that and see what we could do with our public land to expand shelter housing and affordable housing opportunities while working with community members.
Thank you. Thank you, candidate Willis. And next, please, Eleanor Thompson, same question.
Yes, I would say that education, especially in all over Richmond, but especially in District 1, create programs to build youth up to be entrepreneurs and start their own businesses. Affordable housing, we need that because we have homeless in our district, not only in our district, but throughout Richmond. And economic goes back to economic development because we need jobs. And without jobs, there's no livelihood for the residents in Richmond. So I would say economic development is a main issue that we need in our communities.
Thank you, candidate Thompson. Let's go to District 5 and let's start with Najiri Smith.
All right. So for me, you know, I've one of my visions for Richmond is that everybody who lives in Richmond can work in Richmond. That the you know, the business that you start, you can actually own a piece of that. That's why I've been a huge supporter of cooperatives. I even started and co-founded Cooperation Richmond that does just that. It provides coaching, capital, and connections for folks that have been exploited or dismissed from the current economy to be able to build their own businesses. Having started an organization at 100% staffed by Richmond residents and a bike shop that's 100% staffed by Richmond residents, what I've learned is that the missing link is having housing. So as a council member, I'm going to make a push to follow the East Bay Permanent Real Estate Cooperatives, their framework to create community cooperative housing.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Let's go to Mike Vasilas.
Yeah, I think that housing is typically factors into this in a major way. I think one of the issues that we have in Richmond and probably throughout the Bay Area is that we've been focusing so much on the two extremes of housing. You know, we focus on high-end condos on the shoreline or government subsidized affordable housing downtown. And there's a lot of talk about affordable housing as being a pursuit, but it's very expensive and it takes a long time to build. And in the meantime, very few people are even eligible and can live there. So we need to find ways to create housing for all income levels. I think we need to think outside the box and find ways to develop lots near transit, have higher density, find more places for more people to live from the full spectrum of income. I think that's really important, and I really plan to focus a lot of my energy on that, being a housing expert.
Thank you. Next, Gayle McLaughlin.
Okay, hi. So we need housing justice because housing is a human right. I was a principal signer of the rent control law, and now the housing crisis has been accelerated with COVID-19. We need to protect renters and homeowners from eviction and homeowners from foreclosure with policies, legal aid assistance, and fundraising efforts. That will keep our neighborhoods stable against gentrification. We also need to develop social housing and community land trusts. With land trusts, the land remains in trust, owned by the community, a church, or the city, and it is only the homes that are sold, not the land. This reduces the price of new homes by half, and folks can still make a profit if they sell the house. Corporations need to pay their fair share to fund these projects. We also need more high-density affordable housing to be built in the urban core near public transportation, and we should work with other East Bay cities to form a public bank that we can give low-interest loans to cities and communities.
Thank you, candidate McLaughlin. And next, same question, Ahmad Anderson.
Well, folks, I'll tell you right now, the Bay Area government, ABAG, has stated that the city of Richmond needs to move towards about 47% of new housing in the following categories. One is extremely low, very low, lower, and moderate income households. In addition to that, we have affordable housing projects that are taking place right now. The Nystrom Village, Nevin Plaza, and the Hacienda, which is senior citizen, which is being refit and retrofitted based upon the needs of that community. But also there are projects in the pipeline, which are the Metro Walk Phase, as well as the 12th McDonald Avenue. And also there's some consideration and not been addressed yet, the Hilltop Mall with 70 acres of field development zoned for 5,000 housing units. I believe that it's really important to recognize that a guy is 60 years age. I've lived with people who started here in 1974 and graduated and now have moved to Vallejo, Fairfield, Sassoon, Tracy, and Stockton, but they still work here. This is a greater step in the right direction. We can work towards 10 companies supporting us.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
And $1 million investment Bay Area Regional Affordable Housing Plan.
Thank you. And before we go to our next candidate, perhaps we should repeat the question. Madeline Cronenberg.
The question is, how will you address the issue of gentrification?
Wonderful. Thank you for that question. And let's go to Vinay Pimple. Mr. Pimple? Okay,
Yeah.
let's move to, okay.
Yeah,
Please.
so the first thing to understand when people talk about gentrification is that if you add the percentage of Latinos and African Americans in this city, that percentage at 70% has stayed pretty constant. It hasn't actually changed. But the housing prices are going up. And really the way to address this is what Eleanor pointed out. You know, we really need to educate our children. We need to have good job training programs for them so that they can get good jobs. The second thing is that, you know, we have to understand that renting is not a lifelong solution. There is no way that you're going to be able to afford rent on $17,000, which is average Social Security. We have to go for affordable home ownership. And we have to build developments which create houses that are the size of our house, you know, like 800 square feet, 900
Thank
square
you,
feet.
Mr. Pimple. And next, same question. Let's go to Miss Dandie. Miss Dandie?
How do you, yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. How would I tackle gentrification? First, you have to create jobs for kids and youth and things like that, education, create a better educational system so kids will understand what gentrification is and if they want to move and if they have to move. The next thing is you want to create programs to help them to understand things like that, such as you want to get families to understand credit and first-time home buyers issues and things like that. You got to get to know your neighborhoods. You can't stay in your little city, in your little area and stay like that and stay there and say, this is great, the whole city's great, where the rest of the city is tearing up and you don't know. You have to get out there, you have to talk to your council members and beg and plead and write letters and get them to come out and look at the entire city. You cannot look at a city and say it's not gentrified where the whole city, a part of it is tearing up and the rest of it is clean. You have to be willing to get out there as a council member and check out every part, and that's how you're going to get to stop gentrification, by knowing your city.
Thank you, Miss Dandie. And for the last word on this question, we'll go to Claudia Jimenez.
Thank you. Unaffordable rents and mortgage payments are making our community unstable and overstressed. This is why I signed and supported rent control. But there is more to do. We need to build a lot of more affordable housing to be affordable at all levels, extreme low income to moderate income to market rate. And it needs to be healthy and near to transit. Housing should not be built on contaminated soil or far away from transit and essential services. We need to support homeowners to avoid foreclosure. We need to streamline homeowner repair and construction and legalization of accessory dwelling units. I support the program that allows people with Section A to use their voucher to buy a home. And we must keep multiple generation and Richmond families together. That is why my campaign is about building a Richmond for all. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Jimenez. And before we go to this next question, I want to thank again all of the candidates for very concise answers in an extremely difficult situation. I apologize for having to abruptly cut some of you off a few times. Unfortunately, time does not permit us going longer, but we really appreciate all of your feedback on all of these questions. For our next question, let's pass the torch over to Linda Whitmore, our League of Women Voters event coordinator. Linda, please.
Thank you. So my question is, for years, Richmond has had issues with attracting and keeping viable businesses. What will you do to help Richmond recover economically?
Wonderful. Thanks so much for that question. And we'll come back to you midstream to repeat it. And let's begin this one again in District 6. And let's start with Vinay Pimple.
I think the place where we can really make a difference is by encouraging small businesses, and it begins with streamlining the permitting process, to have basically a one-stop shop. Also to have events where small business owners can meet with city staff so that the city staff can figure out how they can have regulations that achieve the goal, but without making it a nightmare for the small businesses. I think the other thing is also that the city council has to be sensible. We can't just go on anti-business rants. When Mayor Butt had his image branding thing, one of the 3 big problems that businesses said that they faced in Richmond was unpredictable city council.
Yeah.
That has got to stop.
Thank you. Same question, Ms. Dandie.
Well, one of the things that we have to do, we have to be able to go to all the small businesses, not the ones that we pick and choose from that are going to answer or go the way that we want them to go to stay. We have to invite other businesses here, even if it causes a problem that some of our even community members won't like. Everyone wants to do the holistic and the Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, and some want Safeways and some want other business. We have to go and invite all the businesses that we can to come to our city to see what they would do to make our city more visitable, that's not a word, but more invitable, where people want to come and put their businesses here. We have to give them incentives. New businesses, give them tax breaks so they'll want to stay here, and then let them know that later as they stay and they build more money, that their taxes will go up to the same as everyone else's. We have to invite people. We have to make it look good for our city, for people to want to come, build, stay, and create in our city and want to stay. That's how you do that.
Thank you. Same question, Claudia Jimenez.
Thank you. Last Saturday, I organized a webinar to talk to small business owners about their needs, challenges, and solutions. They would like the city to support them in getting more information, in promoting their businesses, in contracting with them directly. They want better infrastructure and the city to support them to obtain grants or loans. But the city will need more revenue. This is why I support Profiting and Measure U. The Measure U will help small businesses by reducing their business license fee. And if we have more revenue for the city and the city can promote more businesses, we will attract more businesses. So this is a win-win where we have more revenue so that our infrastructure is good. So we have more businesses to come and more services for the community and the small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question. Let's go to District 1 candidate, Melvin Willis.
Yeah, once again, I'll reiterate that I am supporting Measure U because for small businesses that have annual gross receipts of 250K or less, their annual business licensing fee will be reduced to about approximately $100. I have had folks that have walked up to me, personal friends that have wanted to open a business in Richmond, but they were worried about the fees associated with it. So supporting small business growth is going to be important. And also, how are we supporting our vendors that are having community events where people can get to know them and their goods, and making sure that we're supporting them and cultivating them into getting into brick and mortar. I want to focus more on increasing our small business community because there have been situations where we have had a Safeway of other businesses that have done business in Richmond, but when they left, it wasn't really sustainable. And I think a sustainable economy needs to come from the small businesses.
Thank you. Thank you. Same question, Eleanor Thompson, District 1.
I also think that small businesses, and as we already said, building entrepreneurship and giving loans so that it will be that those who want to open businesses in the city of Richmond will be able to open those businesses, working with corporations because like we raise the taxes, keep the taxes reasonable so that all businesses will be able to come into Richmond and start a business, because we need large business as well as small business. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go on, same question. Let's have event coordinator Linda Whitmore, please repeat that question for our District 5 candidates.
Okay, thank you. The question is, for years, Richmond has had issues with attracting and keeping viable businesses. What will you do to help Richmond recover economically?
Thank you. Ahmad Anderson, District 5.
I think one of the steps that I would do is really recognize on having the group and forums to discuss the financial health of the city, but also developing and investing in our cities, our communities by developing a West County workforce development, career establishing skills center. That's working to develop our skilled and trained individuals in our community, working with West Contra Costa Unified School District and Contra Costa College, developing the workforce that can then develop a career plan, be able to work with companies and small businesses to provide a workforce that's sustainable, also making it attractive for companies to come here. You must provide incentives as the way we look, as like we do in San Francisco, as they do in Oakland, as to why this is the best place. Having affordable housing for people that were moving their companies is valuable. Having the workforce that's attractive is valuable. Being able to work with buildings and trains to ensure our people are trained, but also skilled, makes it a valuable investment. You invest in your people, you invest in your city, and that makes it a city of pride and purpose. That creates a great foundation.
Thank you, candidate Anderson. Staying in District 5, Gayle McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you. I support bringing in new healthy businesses like grocery stores and small shops that can serve our residents with jobs, products, services, and additional city taxes. We should do a marketing campaign to bring in such businesses. And as has been stated, Measure U will help our current small businesses. Plus, we need to help new small businesses and worker-owned co-ops with low interest loans. And we can do that with a public bank. I'm on the interim board of the East Bay Public Bank, and public banks offer low interest loans to small businesses. And we now have, public banks are different because they're about the public good rather than about profit. And we now have state legislation that allows them to be created. So we need to keep working with other cities to form this East Bay Public Bank and then get them to offer, prioritize offering small business loans as well as housing loans, et cetera.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Mike Vasilas.
Can you, okay. Yeah, so a lot of that factors into attracting businesses is you need to have a demand for their services or products. And I think a lot of that, you need to have a high enough population to support that. So that's why we need to increase the housing supply. I think we need to foster workforce development training programs within our city so we have an educated workforce. I think we need to work on beautifying the city. I think we need to have our, our off-ramps and our underpasses and our gateways to the city looking nice so people want to come here and open businesses. I think a big thing is instilling confidence in our city's leadership, that our city council understands what it takes and the investment made of a small business to come here, and that we're always going to be supportive of them and understand that, we're not going to pull the rug out from under them and create any sort of uncertainty that threatens their investment. And I think a lot of, business growth relies on building on the success of our public safety, having clean streets, having a good looking city. Thank you.
Thank you. Najiri Smith.
Yeah, we have a lot of creativity. Richmond is rich in creativity and urban ingenuity. Our work ethic is strong. The opportunities are weak. I feel like there's a lot of things that we can build, given the proper support, the adequate support from the city. What would Target look like if it was a cooperative? I'm currently working with Cooperation Richmond on a grocery store for North Richmond. I'd like to see another grocery store in District 5. These are things that I'm actively doing. I'm not just talking about it. I sit right now on the steering committee for the Seed Commons, which is a national financial cooperative that raises money nationally to fund projects locally. So this is how I'm going to create change.
Thanks very much. Now let's move into our next question. And this question will be asked by Madeline Law, the Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council Public Information Officer. Madeline, please propose the question.
Okay. My question is, the city has approved the Point Melody project. What will you do to make it a success?
Thank you very much. Point Melody, a very important topic here in our community. Let's start with our candidates in District 5, and let's start with Ahmad Anderson.
One is that the decision has been made as of September 8th to move forward with the project, to do the mix of housing as well as open space. I will continue to read and study hard on what the impact is going to have on our city, as the council has so far voted for it. But in addition to that, my doors are not closed to continue in the focus groups to talk about the concern for transportation as it comes, ebbs and flows through there, the concern about health, myself as an asthmatic, the impact that may have on the residents that move there. And with one of the most beautiful shorelines in the community, we want to make sure the upkeep is well, and we make sure that the population is able to enjoy it without pollution. And I think that is some of the key steps that need to be done. In addition to that, in lieu of building additional housing, when it comes to that, there is a state about 25,000 being done. That in lieu of 25,000 should be placed back into the city for creating developments in downtown city of Richmond to be able to support small business workers, commercial real estate, and be able to move forward with progress in downtown area that's been dead.
Thanks so much, Mr. Anderson. Let's go to Gayle. Same question.
I was a strong opponent of the casino project at Point Melody, and I also opposed the current SunCal high-end housing development. We should not have any kind of mega development at Point Melody. There are major problems with the SunCal project, including environmental, financial, and safety issues. We can and should maintain Point Melody in public hands, except for some low-impact development in the Winehaven district. I support the community's plan, which is supported by countless residents who are frankly pretty upset about the way things emerged with this current project. And frankly, I see the current project as a non-starter, and I anticipate court cases on this bad deal.
Thank you, candidate McLaughlin. Staying in District 5, Mike Vasilas.
Yes, I know that Point Melati has been a very controversial topic, especially in District 5. I think what has been left out of this process is adequate community input. I know there's been a lot of community members that have put forth a large effort to have their thoughts heard. And I think from here on out, if I'm elected to council, I'm ensured that the community input will be considered not only on Point Melati going forward, but on all other development deals. I think it's highly important. I think it would be beneficial to bring in an environmental consultant to provide oversight to that project. And I think that we really need to find ways to mitigate the traffic impact. I know that's a huge issue for both people that live in Point Richmond or anywhere in our area. Traffic's going to be an issue. We need to work together. We need to come up with solutions and be transparent in the process from start to finish. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Same question, Najiri Smith.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that well, I'm actually going to stick with what you said. What you asked for was how are we going to make it a success? I will stick with the things that I advocated for a long time ago. There was a youth that said that they wanted to see a velodrome because the closest velodrome to Richmond is 60 miles away, and there's a huge cycling culture here. So I felt that a velodrome made sense. I pushed forward and created a petition. You can still find this petition online on the richcityrise.org page. It's got about 700 signatures asking for a velodrome. This is community input. Now, whether that input is being heard, accepted, and implemented is something different. I've spent my whole time in Richmond listening to the people and doing my best to uplift those voices. Where is a velodrome? How about a roller skating rink? What are the things that we can bring here that are attractors to bring in visitors who will spend cash here in Richmond and circulate throughout our city?
Thank you. Let's move to District 1, where Melvin, Willis, and Eleanor Thompson are running. And candidate Willis, please take the question. Melvin Willis? Okay, Eleanor Thompson, please. Oh, Eleanor Thompson?
Yes, here I am. Okay, the city has Point Melati. I support the plan that has been moved forward, and I would want to make sure that Richmond residents are working on that project. The current council has already made the decision, and I will not want to be an obstructive to their decision. So I would like to move forward as they have already decided.
Thank you very much. Let's go to District 6, where Claudia Jimenez, Miss Dandie, and Vinay Pimplay are running. And before we do that, let's have Madeline Law please reread the question.
Yes. The city has approved the Point Melati project. What will you do to make it a success?
Thank you. Let's start with Claudia Jimenez, District 6.
Thank you. I support development that invests in our communities, that is near public transportation and marketplaces, and if we focus on bringing development in downtown or other areas like that, we can move faster with it and create jobs. This project is a very controversial project. The city is putting public land to a project that is so controversial and risky environmentally and financially. We are in the beginning of a major recession, and this project is only successful if they can sell $1.2 million home next to Chevron with one street in and out. And it can create a gated community that will prevent the rest of Richmond residents from enjoying this public space. To make a success, I will work with the community to create a community plan that is smarter and more equitable and better financially and environmentally in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dandie. Ms. Dandie?
Yes. I believe your question was what to make it a success. I'm hearing a lot of downfalls, but I'm gonna answer your question. And what I believe to make it a success is it's already been made. The decision's been made on September 8th. What I can do is read and study about what the development is going to do and how it's going to be developed and just follow that. I will make sure that African Americans take visits down there to see what's going to be down there, because there's a lot of people in our community, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, that has not even been to Point Melati, to give them some buy-in to what they want to see and what's going to be there. I was one of those people that's only been there a few times, but I know about it now. I would strive to make sure that Richmond residents have the first right to sale, to make sure they're the ones that are trying to buy into Point Melati, to make sure that we are the residents that are buying into something that is set for our city. As far as everything else, I'm sure everybody knows that this thing is controversial, but it's been controversial for a long time. So what I would do to make it a success is make sure that everybody knows what's going on and take everybody on a visit there to see what's going on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Melvin Willis is back.
Same question. Melvin, we'll come to you in just a moment. Let's go to Vinay Pimple. Vinay Pimple. Okay, let's go to Melvin Willis. Melvin Willis?
Sorry, technical difficulties.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. As far as the project at Point Melati goes, I was obviously not in support of it because how it was being rolled out, I'm afraid we're creating a island of opportunity that will not have equal access, especially for very low income to marginalized people of color in the city. However, because it's going forward from my position, I'm going to push to make sure that as the development moves forward, that we're implementing strong local hire policies to make sure folks are on track to get jobs. Also, disadvantaged workers, such as those who are coming back from who were once previously incarcerated, and push and advocate for as strong as possible affordable housing levels, and making sure that the outreach first goes out to Richmond residents once those affordable housing units come online. But basing it on area median income is insufficient, so I plan on pushing harder for it to be for very, very low income for people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vinay Pimple, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Please proceed.
I didn't hear the, do you want me to answer the question on Point Melati or?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, so first, apologies that I had some technical issues. But I think the key thing with Point Melati is that we really need community input. And it was because there was lack of community input that I voted against the deal in 2016. But we also have to be careful, because we have been doing lawsuits and losing lawsuits. And with every legal loss, we get into a worse settlement. So we have to accept that, like, if the judge imposes a judicial settlement, we have to comply with it. And one thing that I would like to see in Point Melati is that, I really would like a visitor center where people are really encouraged to explore nature, so that many of our folks who haven't really the same access to regional parks can go there and develop that love.
Thank you.
And I feel about that strongly.
Thank you. So now let's go to our next question, and it'll be provided by League of Women Voters member Ann Munoz. Ann, please pose the question.
Thank you. The question is, how will you work to maintain a togetherness that is good for all of Richmond, not just the district you live in?
Great question. Thanks so much. Let's start with District 1 and Melvin Willis.
Hold on for a second, he dropped out.
Eleanor Thompson, please, also in District 1.
Okay. Yes, I think that to bring everyone together, that we should not just look out for our district, but we should bring all the districts together so that we can work together to build a greater Richmond, not just in our district, but all over Richmond. I believe joining together and making decisions together, trying to come to one decision that everyone can live with at the end of the day. I think that we would have a better Richmond, and we need to listen to each other.
Thank you so much. Let's zoom over to District 6 and let's pose this question to Claudia Jimenez.
Oh, hello.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's hold that. Thank you for coming back. Melvin Willis, please.
Yeah, Eleanor touched on it. I mean, part of the reason I didn't support district elections rather than how the process unrolled was Richmond has already had a reputation of being very divided to begin with, and I was afraid that this would exacerbate it as well. So I'm going to continue to do community outreach and work with all residents in the city of Richmond regarding their issues, regardless of concerns. And I also have a policy, a personal policy, that it's okay to agree to disagree because all perspectives are important, even if we end up disagreeing on the end. It's a common good, as subjective as it is, and bringing people together from all walks of life and neighborhoods as well, not just focusing on the separation in a neighborhood, but how do we bring people together to get to know each other as neighbors in the greater Richmond. And I do that through community organizing and door knocking.
Thank you. And same question, let's go to District 6, Claudia Jimenez.
Thank you. For the past 10 years, I have been working with many community residents and different organizations, unions, foundations, and elected officials. I have been creating spaces. I co-founded Lift Contra Costa, which is an organization, that table that includes unions, community organizations, and many other residents. And I have been working, drafting policies that have made Richmond more inclusive and fair for everybody. I brought the community, the immigrant community and the Black community to work together. And the result of that was that the campaign Invest in People, No Prison was a success. And we were able to reallocate $5.2 million in services, not only for just one particular community, but for the entire community. So I think like I had been working in these spaces and the intersection of many different issues that has been improving the life of many residents. And this is what I pledge to continue doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Same question, Miss Dandie.
Okay, so to bring Richmond is very divided. It has been since
Miss Dandie? Okay, let's move over to Vinay Pimple.
Yeah, so we are a very segregated city, and there are a lot of unequal issues that we are constantly dealing with. And, you know, part of my platform is to actually really involve our community and involve it in two key ways. One is really volunteering. Like I said, if we really take the steps to mentor our at-risk youth, a lot of our problems and the problems that particularly the low-income neighborhoods face will be taken care of. The other thing that I really want to do is really encourage everybody to join our boards and commissions, because I really want laws to come from our people and not from outside special interest groups.
Thank you. Miss Dandie, are you back with us? You're muted?
Yes. Am I unmuted?
Please proceed.
Like I said, Richmond is very divided. I came here not knowing where anything was. I ran through the entire city not knowing the different areas, the 32 or 34 different neighborhoods. I go into encampments. I was a football coach here. I started the community doing cutting grass for vets and for elderly during the pandemic to make sure that they were still taken care of. I wanted to make sure that everything that I'm doing is in the entire Richmond, not just for an area, because we are broken up. Am I still there?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because everything is frozen.
We can hear you just fine.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Because I am that community person, I can walk anywhere, day or night, where I can go to the violent crimes and the shootings and be there for every community member here. I think I'm that person that.
Thank you. You froze, but it was right about your time anyway. I want to remind everyone in the audience, these are challenging times. We are all learning and using new tools and technologies to be able to learn and work together and build our systems and participate in our democracies all together. So please don't blame anyone for technical difficulties. We're all subject to it and we're all working through it together. Thank you. Before I go to the next answerer, I'd like to get the question posed again by Ann Munoz. Please, Ann.
Yes, the question is, how will you work to maintain a togetherness that is good for all of Richmond, not just for the district you live in?
Thanks so much. Let's hear from District 5, Ahmad Anderson.
First and foremost, I would use the resources that are on this call, meeting with the coordinating council members throughout the District 5 and League of Women Voters. Talk to them about the issues that are harmed because they are very similar and very diverse in nature. Making sure that we have a common united front to the best of our ability and setting the framework that I'm able to walk with kings and queens yet not lose the common touch. I would then also collaborate with my fellow city council members and then have community relations with them, visiting their districts, talking about the concerns, joining with one another for neighborhoods that are very close to one another in different districts to begin to talk about a comprehensive plan, to talk about the neighborhood blight, to talk about economic development, and to talk about what's important about homelessness as issues. The essence of this is being able to be engaged. The essence of this is communication. The essence of this is active leadership and active listening.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Gayle McLaughlin, please.
Okay, hi. Yes, throughout the years I was in office, community involvement was a key priority for me. And there were many things that I did, including have regular meet with the mayor sessions and helped initiate task forces and coalitions. And one major thing that many of us did in 2004 was create a people's convention to hear from the community their priorities. It was well attended and a great event. And then just in recent years, another people's convention was occurred throughout the community. Now, I suggest we do a people's convention for each district, and we invite the neighborhood councils in the district and community groups, churches, and unions. And then after we hear the priorities in our own district, we go and pull together an all-city people's convention. And from this, we could get priorities for a real people's budget, which is really what we need so that we serve the people of Richmond.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mike Vasilas.
Yeah, I think what creates a lot of, or has created a lot of division in our city is when outside groups and outside entities come into our city and try to pass an agenda or ideas that may not work for Richmond. They may work somewhere else, but they're not for Richmond. They're copy and pasted. I think that creates a lot of division in our city. I think another issue is that we're not talking with each other enough. I think we operate in our own echo chambers. I think the online and social media contributes to that. I think we should take a lot of these conversations offline, even though I know that's really hard right now with COVID, but engage with one another. I think if we talk to each other, have personal connections, and we listen to each other, we realize that we might be different and diverse in so many different ways, but what's important to us is the same. And that just involves listening, having an open mind, and being accessible. You know, never turning anyone down, never trying to deny an email or a phone call, just listening to the community. And I can pledge to do that, guaranteed. Thank you.
Thank you. Najiri Smith.
One of the joys of my work has been connecting communities across ethnicities, races, income levels. We've been, the organization that I work with, we've been to every park in Richmond, from Parkchester, just all over Richmond. We worked with hundreds of families, thousands of youth. And I believe that what I've learned is that when you become familiar with a person, when you're able to see the humanity in that person, it's more, it's easier to listen to them. You know, so I feel like these one-on-one conversations that happen with the activities that I volunteer in, and that the organizations that I work with conduct are highly important. What's missing is having those highlighted more and more resources going to them. So supporting groups like the Rise Center, supporting groups like the East Bay Performing Arts Center. Things are our cultural hubs. So I'd work on that more as a city council member.
Thank you very much. And we're going to go to the next question here. Before I do, I want to remind all of our audience members from all over, please forward these the Zoom link, get more friends and family involved. We're having a great discussion here, and this is our democracy. I also want to again thank the League of Women Voters and the Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council for hosting this great event so we can hear from our next leaders. Now, for our next question, let's go to Genoveva Calloway, a League of Women Voters member. Genoveva, please pose the question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. The question that I have is, all cities are struggling to survive during the pandemic. What will be your approach to getting Richmond back on its feet after the pandemic?
Thank you so much for the question, Genoveva. Let's start with District 1, and let's start with Melvin Willis.
All right. So yes, just to reiterate, I'm supporting Prop 15 to close a commercial corporate tax loophole, which I heard estimations that Richmond is geared to get somewhere between $19 to $22 million if that were to pass. I'm also supporting Measure U because I know a lot of small businesses are especially suffering from the pandemic because a lot of us have turned to going to Costco, Target, Walmart for our supplies and needs, leaving a lot of small businesses unable to recoup from that. So allowing folks to base their annual increases based on gross receipts, to me, is going to be essential. And it's also going to be important to pass measures and work with our county and state on how we support homeowners and renters that have accumulated debt, because we do have residents that have not paid their bills, housing bills, since March, and we want to make sure that they're not displaced and connect city resources to those residents as it comes up.
Thank you. And also from District 1, Eleanor Thompson.
Yes. Okay. We go right back to economic development because we need to make sure that we can create some jobs after we come out of this pandemic. And once we create those jobs, we need to make sure that there are small business loans available so that the residents who have those small businesses will be able to tap into that city loans and be able to start their business, make it grow. I mean, right now, some businesses have not been able to function as they need to function to be able to have a revenue coming in, but mostly everything pretty much is going out. So I would make sure that loans are available for our business owner.
Thank you very much. Let's go to District 6 and let's pose this question to Claudia Jimenez.
Hi. First of all, we need to make sure we support our homeowners, renters, and small business stay here by helping them, for instance, to negotiate their mortgage and with their landlord, their rent. So we made sure that they are staying here, and supported small businesses to apply for federal and grant loans or loans so that we can make sure that they stay, the ones that are here stay and can open and be successful. And this is also like, we need to make sure that we bring revenue. And in this moment, in this election, we had two opportunities: Prop 15 that is going to bring millions of dollars to the city budget, and Measure U that is going to change the tax structure that we have that is outdated for a more progressive taxation that it will help the small businesses and bring more businesses here. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question, Ms. Dandie.
She needs the question and repeat it. May I?
Yes, now would be a great time for that. Genoveva, please.
Thank you. All cities are struggling to survive during the pandemic. What will be your approach to getting Richmond back on its feet after the pandemic?
Thank you. Ms. Dandie in District 6, please.
Okay, there we go. I don't know what's going on with this, but I'm good, I think. After and during the pandemic, we should be looking into resources on how we can get small businesses and youth together, working together to start jobs, to figure out how to lay jobs out for them to start, like in programs, getting the high schools back together, calling on people who haven't gone to work, getting their input on what is their, unemployment like, how they can do things, what have they been doing, have they been in contact with social services, Social Security, making sure that they're on top of things, making sure that they haven't been losing out. We want to do as a city to see what our community members have been doing to make sure that they've been staying on top. And that way we can follow up to see what we can do to make things better for them. Small businesses, thank you. Small businesses have been going down. We need to check in with them to make sure that they're doing the things that they can do to keep their business sustainable and their employees.
Thank you, Ms. Dandie. Same question, Vinay Pimple.
Yeah, so the key things are education, job training, and businesses. One of the happiest moment that I had on council was passing the Richmond Promise program, which gives a $1,500 per year scholarships to Richmond students going to college, which will help create a college-going culture, because jobs are going to be hard to get. So we need to get our kids educated. We need to work on our we need to try and scale up our award-winning Richmond Works programs. We need to have tie-ups with the different building trades so our folks can get those good building trades jobs. And we need to encourage businesses, particularly the 3 commercial corridors in our district, San Pablo Avenue, 23rd and McDonald, they need to be performing a lot better. And that will be a top priority for me.
Thank you very much. Same question. Let's go to District 5, the candidates there. Ahmad Anderson.
Well, I should say one of the things is that we should look at what's in, as we talk about the there and then, but let's talk about the here and now. In the here and right now, 2030 plan existing as a roadmap, and it paints a pathway to get us out of this COVID financial deficit. The economic development program that I'm talking about is rooted in local and regional resources. It talks about not only economic and business working together, but community development. It addresses citizens' unemployment, poverty, job loss, and even it talks about environmental degradation. One of the things that we need to do, as I talked about my job skills program, is proposing to expand not only Richmond Works, but also Richmond Build, partnering with union partnerships, developing the workforce while addressing the infrastructure and providing incentives for people to come to business and work here. Along with that, it needs to be tied with affordable housing and housing that people can afford, so we can make sure folks don't leave this and gentrification does not sink in and set us back.
Thank you. Thank you. District 5 candidate Gayle McLaughlin, please.
Thank you for the question. First and foremost, we have to protect our renters and our homeowners from eviction. Once the moratorium on rent ends, we're going to see a huge explosion of people in crisis. So we need to support them with policies, legal aid assistance, and also help them access housing funds. We also need to help our small businesses access state and federal grants and loans. We also need to develop a Richmond Green New Deal, and we can start by expanding our green job training program. And we also need education, of course, so we need to support our schools and utilize our community centers and library for both education and for small business development, how to start a business, how to start a worker co-op. We can do all that. Plus, of course, we need to pass Measure U, which will bring in more funds for the city, and Prop 15, which will bring in $12 billion for the state and millions within that state fund for Richmond. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Vasilas.
Yes, one thing I plan to do and continue to work on, which I've been working on since the start of this pandemic, is to try to institute a rent relief fund. I've tried to be proactive about this. I realize that, you know, we have a mounting crisis here. We have eviction moratoriums with no end date to help tenants, so the tenants can pay their property owners, so the property owners can pay their property taxes and, you know, contribute to the city and whatnot. We're going to have a crisis. And I think what we need to do is work with our state and local leaders and try to earmark some federal funding in case it comes in, so that when federal funds are available, we can institute them into a rent relief fund and get that money out to renters ASAP. Thank you. Thank you. Najiri Smith.
So yeah, we have COVID, and for me, housing and employment are the two main things that we need to consider. You know, there's a lot of folks that are out of work right now. Of course, we have businesses that are struggling that also have rent and bills to pay. That and we have to, you know, I can't say that I have the answer to the rent problem, but I'm okay with acknowledging an issue, even if I don't currently have the answer to that. That's just something that I feel is one of those issues where I'd be leaning on the community as well as the city to come up with a solution. But I also know that ignoring it as if it's not there is not the way, because it'll still have an impact. So I'm still in favor of community cooperative housing, because I believe that if you live in Richmond, you should have the opportunity to own your home. Thank you. Level that is.
Thank you. Okay, thank you again, all candidates. We have come to the big moment, the big finale here. Time is crunched, but we have time for the big closing statements for each candidate. These closing statements will be 1 minute. We're going to have to be real sticklers on that 1 minute because time is of the essence. We're going to go in reverse order from where we did the opening statements. And that means we're going to start at the back end of District 6. So again, 1 minute for each candidate. Please be concise. We want to hear your closing statements. Thanks so much to all of you for participating. The League of Women Voters and the Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council for hosting this great event. And of course, most of all the viewers and constituents who've been tuned in this whole time. Let's start. Closing statement, 1 minute. Vinay Pimple in District 6, please.
So thank you again for having me. I'm a candidate because I really believe that volunteering and public service is a noble calling. And because I have the skill set as an attorney, as a numbers guy, as a former city council member to deal with the serious challenges that we have. That is why Mayor Butt has endorsed me. 3 other mayors, past mayors, Mayor Irma Anderson, Mayor Rosemary Corbin, Mayor Nat Bates, have also endorsed me. That is why State Assembly Member Buffy Wicks has endorsed me, the Contra Costa Building Trades Council, including the Laborers Union, Carpenters Union. They have all endorsed me because they are confident in my record of bringing good jobs, bringing good education, managing the city finances. So I hope that you will join them and honor me with your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Closing statement, Ms. Dandie, please.
Okay. Thank you everyone for inviting me and inviting us. As I've already said, Richmond is facing some serious problems. I mean, it's gone down to, we know, it's racism and systemic problems in our educational system and things like that. We need new faces on our council. We need new visions. We need things that will change as time has gone on. COVID-19 changed the game for everyone. So in order for us to catch up with COVID-19, to move things along, you need people with new ideals. We don't need groups of ideals or people that's only going to stick to one thing. If you can count to 4, you understand what that means. The thing about it is today is a new day. We need people with new ideals coming in here, letting us know that there are more real people in Richmond and all over in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 district, not just a Richmond, all of Richmond. This is not a conservative America. This is not a liberal America. This is the United States of America. And I want this to be a united city of Richmond. We should all look for that new vision, and I'm it. Miss Dandie, District 6.
Thanks so much. Staying with District 6, closing statement, Claudia Jimenez.
These are hard times, and business as usual is no longer enough. We face a financial and climate crisis, and we need leaders in the city council with proven experience in getting results for the people of Richmond and who will fight for what our community needs and deserves. I am running because I want to be part of building a Richmond where all children believe they have a future. I have worked with many sectors and many residents in this community. This is a people's campaign. If I am elected, I will work to make sure we have fair taxes, a stronger environmental regulation, racial equity in all policies, and development that promotes community life. I will help build an equitable city budget that preserves city services and reflects city values. I will support homeowners, renters, and small business to stay and thrive in Richmond. I will work to reimagine and transform public safety so all of us are safe and have the services we need. My vision is Richmond for all. Please join me in building that vision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. District 5, Ahmad Anderson.
Ahmad Anderson, your native son, District 5, come alive. Let's not just survive, but let's thrive. I've had the greatest school learning, in-house training in life. Irma Anderson as my mayor, as the mayor of the City of Richmond City Council, and my father, Booker T. Anderson, as the City Council and mayor. I bring to you that collaborative, innovative, creative leadership. I'm here for you with the endorsements from Willie Brown to Demlis to Tom Butt to Sonia to Buffy to Nancy Skinner. I'm here with the support of all those on the city council, of 85% of the city council. I'm here to support you to be able to walk with kings and queens in this very diverse community and not lose the common touch. I am the conduit of leadership. I will be your lighthouse in troubled times to keep us focused in safe harbor, and I'll be that lighthouse to set forth so we will hit the goals that we are setting out for. It is we, us together. I need you. I want you. I've got to have your support. Thank you.
Thank you. District 5, Gayle McLaughlin, please.
Thank you for holding this forum. Please check out my website at gayleforrichmond.org to learn more about my priorities. When we are not prepared for pandemics and other disasters, we get sick. When we don't have a nearby community hospital and we lack medical coverage, our illnesses and outcomes worsen. When we tolerate the plumes of industrial pollution from Chevron, we get sicker. When wages are too low, when we don't help those who are homeless, and when our youth are deprived of a quality education, we are fostering an unhealthy society. And likewise, when we elect the wrong public officials, we pay the consequences of more inequality and increased social ills. It doesn't need to be this way. I am running without a dime of corporate money. I seek to represent you and only you, the residents. I ask for your vote for me, Gayle McLaughlin, for District 5. I also ask the voters of District 1 and 6 to vote for Melvin and Claudia. Let's build together the city we deserve.
Mike Vasilas, District 5, please.
Hi. I think we have a choice to make here. Our city can continue to go down the same path of division, of making decisions behind closed doors, of financial management, And I'm coming to City Council to change that. I'm not part of the establishment. I'm not funded by corporations or outside special interest groups or any union. I'm here and solely motivated to help this city, to listen to the people, to bring change, to have new ideas, to think forward. We need forward thinking right now. We have an ever-changing world. We need a leader that realizes how important this position is and is willing to listen to their entire community to come up with solutions. No more of the same old, we'll fix it later ideology. It's all about Richmond. It's all about right now. You can visit my website at www.mikeforrichmond.com for more information and to learn more about my ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Najiri Smith, also District 5.
My campaign from the start has always been, as well as all of the work that I've done, I've got a lot of achievements that I've done here in Richmond, but it's never been just me. It's always been the greater we. I believe that Richmond needs some city leaders, city council people that listen to them. Not just some of them, but all of them that's able to bridge the gap or bridge the communication gaps. You know, we actually do need to talk to each other and consider that some people have less than others. And some folks need more have more need and less resources. The things that I talk about are the things that I'm doing. I'm actually working on building a grocery store in North Richmond. I'm actually in conversations about building a grocery store in District 5. If you want somebody that's going to actually be about what they're talking about and just not going to come at you with a bunch of rhetoric, please vote Najiri Smith, Richmond City Council District.
Thank you. Melvin Willis, District 1.
Yeah, thank you to the League of Women Voters, RNCC, and Robert Rogers for moderating this forum. I'm running for re-election and I'm running in District 1. We do have a lot of challenges that face us, and it's important that with these challenges that there's deep collaboration, that we work together. That's what I've been doing for 9 years, and I've taken that experience and been doing that on the council, whether it's working with labor, environment, mental groups, housing policy groups, or immigration groups. It's all about what's for the greater good of the people in our community and how are we cultivating leadership in our community to also take a stance and be proud to live in Richmond, be a part of building it up and making a difference in it. I hope I can count on your support in the election on November 3rd, and thank you so much for hosting this forum and your time.
Thank you. Eleanor Thompson, District 1, please.
Thanks everyone for inviting me here on this evening. And my top priorities are safety for all, economic development, youth programs, housing for the homeless. And I am endorsed by our local 188 firefighters, Richmond Police Association, Mayor Tom Butt, Vice Mayor Ned Bates, former Mayor Irma Anderson, former council member Vinay Pimple, Joe Fisher Coronado, Neighborhood Council President, Oscar Garcia and Triangle Neighborhood Council, Gonzalo, the 23rd Street Merchant, and I humbly ask for your vote in November. Thank you. District 1.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thompson. And thanks again to all of our candidates for participating in this great forum today. It's under difficult circumstances, but we've done a great service for our community by being able to air our views, answer questions, and interact with one another. Thanks especially to the Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council and the League of Women Voters. Thanks so much to President Jan McNone and Cheryl Collier. Jan, in fact, do you have anything to say on this?
No, not really. Just thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you very much for hosting this. Thanks also to KCRT for putting this together and also rebroadcasting so more and more people are able to hear the important topics we discussed here. I'm Robert Rogers. It was really a privilege to moderate and be with you tonight. Everyone, good night and be well.